I'm just the boy inside the man, not exactly who you think I am. Trying to trace my steps back here again. So many times I'm just a speck inside your hand. You came and made me who I am. I remember where it all began so clearly. I feel a million miles away. Still you connect me in your way, and you created me something I would have never seen. When I could only see the floor, you made my window a door. So when they say they don't believe, I hope that they see you and me.
Alright, taking me a while to get the doggone camera working, so I talked to y'all last time. I had so much to talk about. I had a plan for today. I sat down in my quiet time and started reading, and guess what? What I was going to talk about isn't what I'm going to talk about. I found this passage in Genesis chapter 28 verse 20, and pretty doggone interesting. I think it applies to a lot of what's going on with me, but I can only imagine it applies to a lot of what's going on with you. Now I'm going to read this, but I got a proviso. It struck me to talk about it today. This is the time that I needed to get the video made so that I could do all the work on the back end to get it posted. Again, it takes me a while to mess with this stuff because I just ain't no good at it yet. But that said, I'm going to throw out a few. I'm going to throw out this verse, and then we're going to talk a little bit about some of it, and then I'm going to come back in the next video after some study and try and go through some more what it means, because it's just chock full of ideas here. So Genesis 28:20. Then Jacob made a vow, saying, "If God will be with me and will watch over me on this journey I am taking, and will give me food to eat and clothes to wear, so that I return safely to my father's house, then the Lord will be my God. And this stone that I have set up as a pillar will be God's house, and all that you give me I will give you a tenth." Holy matrimony. Could you cram any more into one verse? It's a lot. What I kind of want to focus on for just right now, and what struck me today, was if God will be with me and basically give me whatever I need to make this journey, so that I can get there and get back, he says, then the Lord will be my God. Now again, I know I have a lot to read up on here and study, because I don't want to necessarily read it at 100% face value, but I also believe that when we read the Bible and when we break it open and read through these things, that if we have an open heart and that if we're really searching for what God's trying to tell us, that there will be something there. The Spirit, in essence, will lead us to what God's trying to tell us. I know that we have to be careful with that. I know that we don't want to read into it something that was not intended, and that's why I want to go and I want to do some research, and maybe next time I'll come back and I'll say, well, was I all wrong? I completely missed the whole narrative. But what I do want to say is, we all know, well, for those of you that have read and done any kind of study on Jacob at all, the old boy was kind of a tool. And he was born a tool. He was grasping the heel of his brother. He was named Deceiver. Jacob was basically Deceiver. Or somebody that was going to make his living off of the backs of others. So I think we have to read everything in here about Jacob and his promises and his vows and his words with a grain of salt. But the guy's 40 years old or thereabouts at this time. He's making a journey to find a wife, and he was raised by Isaac, who he had no problem deceiving. Um, and Isaac, as you recall, was the youngster that was on the slab with a knife poised over his head, and was saved by God. So, raised by Abraham, you would think he would have learned and instilled in his boys a pretty strong faith and knowledge about the one true God. And here Jacob's at 40 striking up deals with God. Seems kind of, boy, there's got to be a lot there. If you will be with me, la 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 la, then the Lord will be my God. Kind of strong. But at the end of the day, God gets him there, puts him through some trials to humble him. Maybe, maybe not, we'll get into that next time, but the point is, he gets him there, then gets him back home. And this young fella gets into a lot of adventures along the way and afterwards, and it seems to me that the Lord is his God the whole time. So why does it say that? Well, because I think that oftentimes we say these types of things to God in hopes that he'll bless us where we are. And through our wants, almost as a test. Now, I don't think that that's what necessarily Jacob was doing, but it really struck me when I read the verse that a lot of people want to believe in God when he's good to them, even though there are no atheists in a foxhole. Everybody reaches out for God when the chips are really, really down. When things are just going okay, we seem to float away. When we're running on what seems to be our own fuel, we seem to turn our backs or put it all on our own abilities. And guys, it's just not that way. Everything that we do can be for the glory of God, and everything that happens in our lives is a direct result of God interacting with our lives, good and bad. Again, there's a lot in here. This is just a really packed verse. There's so much. You could talk for hours just on this verse, I think. But I just want to say that it really strikes me, and I think that I'm guilty of saying, Lord, I've seen your work, I've heard about your work, I've watched your work, but you know what? Right now, that's all what you did in the past. What have you done for me lately, and what are you going to do right now? And let's strike a bargain. I can't stand here and say with absolute certainty that that's 100% wrong, but it sure seems wrong to me. We need to believe every day, we need to know every day, and we need to trust every day. And so again, I'm going to go back, I'm going to study on that some more. But in the meantime, I'm going to pray a little bit, and then I'm going to throw a few things at you. Not what I had planned to throw at you. Maybe next time we'll see how it goes. But just think on that. If you go back and read that verse, read everything before it, and read 29 to find out what happens. The old bamboozler gets bamboozled pretty good, and it's kind of fun to see, and maybe that's not the way we're supposed to look at it, but it is kind of fun to see the old boy get his comeuppance. So, interesting. So, thanks for listening to me ramble on that. Lord, we just thank you so much for the many blessings you give to us. Again, I thank you for this wonderful technology that allows me to reach out to folks in a way that would not be able to in my normal life. I want to say again that the whole point of this is to help folks understand that their role is to reach out and make disciples of all nations. Well, that's what I was going to talk about all through today. That's what I was looking up when you led me to Jacob, God. But you have plans for us, and I just pray that you'll help me to continue to dive into the Word and study your Word so that you can help me create these videos that will help other people to motivate them and to help them understand the importance of getting out and making their life's journey one of hope for others. God, I just pray that you'll continue to watch over my family and the families of all those in my church. And just special prayer for my daughter and son-in-law. They're going through some real struggles right now, God, and I just pray that you'll help them and that your will be done. But most of all, beyond that, God, if you'll just wrap them in your arms and make them.
I'm just the boy inside the man, not exactly who you think I am. Trying to trace my steps back here again. So many times I'm just a speck inside your hand. You came and made me who I am. I remember where it all began so clearly. I feel a million miles away. Still you connect me in your way, and you created me something I would have never seen. When I could only see the floor, you made my window a door. So when they say they don't believe, I hope that they see you and me. After all the lights go down, I'm just the words, you are the sound. A strange type of chemistry, you've become a part of me. And when I sit alone at night, your thoughts burn through me like a fire. You're the only one who knows who I really am. We all wanna be somebody. We just need a taste of who we are. We all wanna be somebody. We're willing to go, but not that far. We're all see-through just like glass, and we can shatter just as fast. That light's been burned out for a while. I still see it every time I pass. It was lost.